much for taking time, giving us time here in Books and Bytes Philippines. So, by the way, I'm Kath, and with me is Gaurav also. We are founders of the Books and Bytes Philippines. So, one of the aim of Books and Bytes Philippines is to promote awareness about books, publishing, and to encourage our community to read more. And also, if they want to publish, we can also give them some insights. So, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. It's such a privilege for us here in Books and Bites Philippines that you allow us to interview you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very excited, and I've been to a bunch of bookstores in Manila,
Oh,
and
wow. Mm.
I love the Philippines. And in my heart, I feel like I'm a Filipino. I know that I don't look like one, but I tell people all the time I'm Filipino, and they're like, "No, you're not." But I feel like I.
Gaurav also has something to say to you. Maybe I can give the floor to Gaurav.
Welcome here and this virtual medium. I can see Julie and feel her energy. So thank you so
Mhm.
much. And thanks to Kathleen for getting us all together. I really love reading and writing and the world of artificial intelligence and all that. And since I've been in Philippines, we've been exploring books. That's how it started. And we've been interviewing a lot of authors now. So it's always good to, and then, although we were so tired after seeing Joey
Yeah.
online or meeting someone last time, it's always been, last time also we interviewed an author in the US. So again, it was late for us, but I felt good. So it's good to connect. And thank you, Julie. You already know me. And then, our viewers also on YouTube, on Facebook, they already know that we've been interviewing. So over to Julie.
Well, thank you so much, and I admire what you guys are doing. We need so many more Filipino books in the United States. But I loved seeing you guys have really quality books there, and obviously it's thanks to you guys for helping to get people published in the Philippines.
Yeah, thank you so much, Julie. So I think it's time for us to do the proper interview. So I've already emailed you some of the guide questions, but it's not really limited to that. We can still have more questions in the long run. So now we would like to know, Gaurav and I would like to know about your company. Can you tell us more about your company and how it started? How have you managed it up to now?
Yes. So I started the company in the year 2000, and the name is JKS Communications.
Mhm.
But the reason is because that was my initials, and I just I had to send information into the IRS so that I could pay my taxes. So I just made that up. But then over the years, I've realized there are so many people that have participated and been a huge reason and part of why we've been successful. So I wanted to change the name to Books Forward so that it wasn't just about me. And
Mhm.
so when we started, I had one author, and then I would go to two authors, but it was very different than how we do it now. And that is that I would go on book tours with them across the country, and we would, there was no social media at that point, none. And so we would just do book reviews. Oh, but there started to be bloggers. And so we were the first book publicity company and the first in the industry, actually, because the publishers didn't want to use it, to use bloggers. And so bloggers predated the social media influencers now. So that's what they were. And we just became enthusiastic about the books. We would read the books. A lot of people in the book industry weirdly don't read the books that they
Mm.
publicize, and which is weird. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we read them. We got enthusiastic about them. We looked for new opportunities all the time for what can we do now? What can we do next? And so it grew. And my business partner, Marissa DeQueer, came in 2015 with me, and she was a former journalist, and we've hired a lot of former journalists because they understand what journalists need in order to tell the story. And so it's, we give them packages that are all ready to go. So now we are in Nashville, New Orleans, New York, and Montreal. And we've done, we've represented over 1,300 authors and over 1,000 books. And we have promoted books from 5 different continents. So we do international also.
Been an interesting journey for almost 24 years. Started in 2000 with no social media. But
Yeah.
today's Gen Z, that would be like, no social media would be like something prehistoric. But yeah, how important, Julie, is the author platform? So my next question, for authors and how a different format. How in the publishing landscape there is also self-publishing, there are other ways. So what role does an author platform like yours play in there, and why should other authors or future authors who are listening to this, they would be interesting in taking the services of a platform like yours?
Okay, yes. So the platforms differ between whether you're writing fiction or nonfiction. And if you're writing memoir, then that's also a whole different thing. But if you're writing nonfiction, then usually the authors that are doing that for business books are wanting this to be a plank in their platform. And it's an opportunity when they have a new book to be interviewed and to get publicity for what they already are doing. And that's really important for them to have a platform. So the more op-ed editorial news articles that they can write, the better. The more that they're online as an expert, but that's kind of what their book does, and that's what then the book publicity does, is it makes them more of an expert, and it creates links back to their website, that sort of thing. And so that's really important. They have to be established that, if they're going to write about neuroscience, then they should be a lawyer. They need to be a neuroscientist. And then if it's fiction, then if they can, the main thing that I tell authors is be friendly. Like, everybody needs to really like you. You're like a politician, and if people like you, they're going to like your book. So online, get to know the people. And that doesn't mean, probably because I'm a dinosaur, I equate doing social media with going to a cocktail party. So if you're going to a cocktail party or any kind of party, you don't walk in and say, look at me, I tell you about myself. And it's the same thing with on social media, that you want to get on there and you want to be a good citizen. You want to be involved with the whole literary community. You want to promote other authors, other books. And one thing that I should say is that authors a lot of times will think that their competition is another book or another author. That's not the competition. The competition is electronic media now, is electronic communication. So a lot of people spend more time on their phone. They don't have looking at social media, they don't have the attention span that they used to. So when you write a book, you got to really make it interesting from the first paragraph to grab them, so that they don't, look at it and then swipe and go to another book. So anyway, I think that if you're a part of the community, that you get in there and you ask questions, that you like what other people are doing, that if there are conferences that you can go to the conferences, get to know the people, that helps to build your social media. And sometimes the acquisition editors in traditional publishing now have caught on to the fact that you can buy bots. So if you say, I have an Instagram following of 450,000 people, well, they can go in there and see if they're bots. And then what they want is authentic. They want to see that there's communication back and forth, not exactly how many, but what the engagement is. And then, you were asking me about self-publishing?
Yeah.
So the traditional publishing changed in 2007, at least in the United States, where they didn't publish nearly as many books unless they were pretty sure that they were going to be successful. They used to get an author that they liked and then say, okay, we're going to publish 3 of your books and we're going to build you up. Well, they can't do that anymore because of the economy. And so now what they do is they'll buy a book and then they'll option the second book. So you want to have a second book in the wings if you can, to say, I've got more than this just one book. But what they're going to do is the publisher is going to push your book into bookstores. They're going to push your book into Amazon. They're going to promote your book as much as they can, and not promote it. They're going to sell it in. And then they have advanced reader copies, ARCs, that they'll print up, and then you can send out to get reviews and get awards, and to get people in the industry excited about it. People, if you're writing a fiction book and it's about murder in Nashville, Tennessee, then if you get people in Nashville, Tennessee who are in the crime area to read it, then they'll talk about it more. And so it's that sort of thing. But since there are so many, well, there's still 3 million books a day, 3 million books a year in the United States published. 3 million books a year. And so there's still a lot of books, but the publishers aren't willing to do the promotion like they did before. They just can't afford to do that. They have to see what books are going to go and make them money, because only 1 out of every 10 books with a traditional publisher makes money. So those are the ones that are going to get the funding. Then, so self-publishing used to have a really bad reputation because people would just throw something up on, and they wouldn't have it edited. They would have like a cover that their niece had drawn or something like that, and it just wouldn't be professional. So like, we call them hybrid books now, because the books have to be traditionally edited. They have to have a book cover that is equal to what you'd see in the New York publishing houses. So anyway, the self-published or the hybrid published books, the author has a lot more control over and can make more money. If a traditional publisher now might give you $5,000 or $25,000 for your book up front, and sometimes it's $1 million if it's a young adult book, and you don't have a track record and they think it's going to be the next big, Hunger Games. But for the most part, you're going to get a little bit of money, and then you have to earn that out. And earning it out means that you've got that say that they give you $25,000, then they have to make back $75,000 before you get any money. And then you get about $1 a book. If you do a hybrid publishing and you publish it through Amazon or through Ingram, but especially Amazon, because that's where you're probably going to put it online, then you can make a couple of dollars a book. And you also you have to pay to get the book made. And that's just part of it. If you want to create your own book and do a hybrid, you have to have the budget to do it. You've got to understand, this is going to cost me about $5,000. And, but then you can make the money back more quickly, because if you promote it on Amazon, then you can get a bigger piece of the pie back, and you don't have to print the books ahead of time, because when somebody orders a book on Amazon, then it's printed right then. So even if it says, that if you're looking for a book on Amazon and it says there are only 2 copies left, that's not really true. Amazon's just trying to encourage people to order quickly, because they print them I've watched the printing process. It takes maybe less than a minute and a half. They can put it in a mailer and it can be out within 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, Julie, I really learned a lot from that. And like for someone, if I'm someone who's like a first time writer and author and I really want to publish, so what can you say, or based on your experience, what are the common mistakes of these first time authors when they are trying to approach publishers? And can you walk us through to the publishing process? Like, what's the process from someone who's trying to get a book published up to the publication?
Yes. So the main mistake that authors make, or writers make before they become authors is, one thing is that they want to sell their book before they finished it. So you got to finish your book. There are thousands of people that I've talked to that say, I'm ready. And I said, is your book finished? No. And I'm like, finish your book. And, and then after you finish it, you've really got to make sure you've got to have it edited, they're called editorial editors that will come in and say, this is how, chapter 10 really belongs at the beginning of your book, but they don't rewrite your book. They just tell you what to do, and then you write it so it stays in your voice and it's still your book. If somebody says that they're going to edit your book and then they take it and they rewrite it, no, they're not legitimate, and they probably don't know what they're doing. So the main thing is, if you're going to try to sell your manuscript, it's got to be perfect. No spelling errors, no grammar errors. And understand also that if you're going with the traditional publishing route, that whoever your agent, you want to find an agent, and then if you get an agent, the agent is going to change the book to what they think will sell. Then they'll take it to acquisition editors in publishing houses like Random House Penguin, like Macmillan, or boutique, smaller publishers that are all over the world. And then that editor will change it a little bit. So you have to understand that you write your book, you get it absolutely the best that you can. But then if you traditionally publish, there are other people that are going to come in and change it. So if you don't want anybody to change your book at all, then you have to self-publish it. You've got to do it yourself. And there are lots of authors that want to do that. We will publish books that authors don't want to use a publisher for, but we insist that it be done professionally. But if they say, I really want this thing to be in a book, but I don't want it taken out, then they probably are not a good fit for traditional publishing. And so after you finish your manuscript, you get it cleaned up, then you go to something called Publishers Marketplace. Now I'm just telling you how to do it in the United States. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can get a subscription for $25 a month, I think, or you can get a free subscription and get a lot of the information. It's called Publishers Marketplace, and publishersmarketplace.com. And it has what deals have been done, what books have been bought, what the titles are, what they're about, who the author is that's selling it, sometimes about how much they're selling it for, who the agent is that took the book, and then who the publisher is that's going to publish it. And the information that you need from that is who is the agent that has sold this book. And when you get on Publishers Marketplace, you can divide it into different genres. So if your genre is chick lit and women's fiction, then you can look up under that category to see what agents are selling those books right now. And you want to have an agent that's active and has been selling books in the last 2 or 3 years. For example, there are lots of famous books that the agents now did. Well, the agent sold it 15 years ago and the book's still selling, but that doesn't do you any good. You really want people who are active. So after you figure out who those people are from Publishers Marketplace and you make notes about them, then you go to their website, you use their name, go to their website, and then there's a tab that will say queries or admissions, and you click on that, and then it will tell you exactly what they want to know, and you have to tell them exactly what they are asking for. So you can't write one letter you can send to everybody, because as of a couple of years ago, agents were getting between 300 and 1,000 requests a week. So what they're trying to do, they've got interns that are trying to weed those out. So you're trying not to get weeded out. As soon as you write your letter, then it goes to somebody who's not the agent. They decide whether or not it fits what they said. So if they want to know your word count, put the word count in. If they don't want the word count, don't put the word count in. Don't write a page and a half about your book. You put in about 4 lines about what your book is about. And you've got to really figure out, how can I say what that book is about to really grab their attention? So then they'll let you know if they want to represent you. And you might have to go through 150 agents. It's a numbers game before you find somebody. And sometimes people never find anybody, or it takes them years. We have a really successful author right now that it took her 12 years to find, but now she's sold millions of books, but she just had to find the right agent. And so, then once it goes from the agent, from the agent to the editors, the acquisition editors in the publishing house, and somebody buys it, then it's about 2.5 years probably before it's going to come out, because acquisition editors are buying books ahead of the schedule. So we're in November 2024 right now. So probably the books that are being bought this month would come out in the fall of 2025 or the spring of 2026. So you have to understand there'll be a long lead time. And during that time, you build on your platform, and you spend time while they're working on your book, getting your name out there more. And then your book launches, and there's a specific launch date that it comes out, and you or your publicist should figure out what it is that you want to do to celebrate that birthday. And because there are 3 million books that come out a year in the United States, you have to realize you've got to cut through that noise. And for every, I can't remember now, it's 4,500 books a day, I think, that come out. So if the day after your book comes out, that means 9,000 more books have come out. So you need to use the time really quickly and to get established. And then you keep promoting your books for years, but you have that only one opportunity when it releases to get the most bang for your buck, the most interest. And then as you go along, you can submit for awards. But another thing that I'll throw out there, and then I'll stop, is if you're going to submit for an award, you want the book to have as long a life in that year as possible. So, for example, we have people that come to us and say, I want to publish on October 31st so that I hit the Christmas season in the United States. They've already missed it. The books for Christmas season have been chosen for September to promote for December. And also, if you do October 31st, then you only have November and December. Nobody cares in December to promote your book. So you only have 30 days, and then your book is old because it's last year's. So the best time to publish your book is between January 5th and March 31st, the first quarter of the year.
The longer time you create the hype for the book, and if you do self-publishing, so you have more control rather than going the traditional way. That's what I get from that. So getting from the points you've mentioned already, like going to Amazon and somewhere. So what role does the metadata play on the online book sales? And how can authors, or as you said, writers, later on they become authors, ensure their books are discoverable? It's all about discovering the book. So Amazon is a good platform. There are audiobooks, and then I like Kindle Paperwhite, reading on that, so on the go. So how can there's a standard format for the metadata, and how do more people discover the books? How do we ensure that, or
Yes.
future writers?
Okay, so metadata, I'm not an expert in, but I know that it is incredibly important. Like you said, that has everything to do with the online platform. On Amazon, your publisher should ask you for words that they think will resonate with your audience. If you are an author who is self-publishing, you can go into, and there are probably more ways now to do it, but you can go into Google Analytics and look at all the words that make sense to you about what your book is about. So thriller, murder, Nashville, Tennessee, going back to the mystery in Nashville I was talking about. And you can figure out what those words are, and then you put them into the Amazon mixing bowl where all the other information is that you put into there.
Amazon suggests, yeah, it's called
Yeah.
Amazon. It suggests the trends and all. Yeah.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
are the hypes this season?
Yes, yes. And so I would do that. I'd also, if you're going to have a website, I would, and websites are not fantastic for authors, but authors need to have it. And a website should always be their name, not the title of their book. Because if they come out with more books, then their website doesn't work anymore. So it should be your name. And if you're a writer, the earlier you buy that URL, the better, because you don't want somebody else to get it. And sometimes there are authors that have the same name. But if you have a blog where you can change up what's going on your website, then it will go higher in the rankings on the search engines, and that's good for when people are looking for you. Something that is really good if you want to be found is to get your book put on reader lists. So magazines are always doing reader lists, and social media people, social media experts are now, social media influencers now are coming together and bringing together books and saying, okay, today is our book on memoirs, and here are my 5 favorite memoirs. So you have to get them in the right hands of the right people. There's also something called BookBub, and it costs about $750 to $1,000 to do. And you have to be chosen, but it's a newsletter that goes out to millions of people, and then and it promotes your book, and you have to drop the price of your ebook. You have to have an ebook to do it. And it might be free or it might be 99 cents, but these people who read this newsletter want an inexpensive book, so they'll buy that book. They're not the people who would buy your book anyway, because they're only looking for really inexpensive books, but they buy them, and then they review them. You ask everybody to review your book on Amazon and Goodreads. And if you get a review that you want as many reviews as possible, but it's okay. If you get a 1-star or you get a 3-star, that's okay. Because if it's all 5 stars and it looks like it's just family and friends that have put it up, because there's no book that's for everybody. And so we have an author that sold 23 million copies of a book. And she said, you're not a real author until you get a 3-star review.
Yeah, it really happens when you search for this in Amazon or other, that some would show like 1 star, 2 stars, and 3 stars. But as a reader like me, I also make sure like, oh, if it's 5 stars, then I think it's a good book. So one also of the qualifications of me reading a certain book is the reviews also, and also if it has 5 stars or like more stars, the better. So now, since we are talking about the promotional and marketing strategies, so as a publisher like you here in Books Forward, so what are the kind of offer you are giving to the authors or to the writers for them to have this visibility of their book, for their book to be discoverable, and then for their books to have a good chances of getting a good review? So do you play any role for that, or it's more of the author or the writer's duty to really promote the book?
Yes, we need the author to participate, but we just want them to show up for the things that we ask them to do. We don't expect them to set it up. It takes a lot of energy. It's almost like, well, you guys know this, it's like a new profession. If you're going to write your own book and publish your own book, then you can't do that and only become an author. You have to learn how the publishing business works, or the promotion business, and it exhausts a lot of people. So what we do is we offer different things for different books depending on what we think will be good. Like there might be an author who has a great personality, so it makes sense for them to go and speak at conferences. And now going on a book tour, it's harder to bring people into a bookstore to see you if you're not a big name. So we'll try, if you're on a book tour across the country, we'll put you into, say, a group of business people that are having a luncheon, and they're going to show up to that luncheon because they always have a speaker. We want you to be the speaker one time for that place, for that organization. We also we also have a couple thousand, they're called BFFs, and there are book bloggers who are they're book influencers, and they get our books before anybody else does so that they can choose to promote it. So we have kind of a exclusive deal with them, and so they help to promote our books because they get it before anybody else does. And some of the ways that they might promote it is sometimes we put a box together that has fun little, like, say it's a book about a princess. Well, we might put a little tiara in there, and maybe a little teacup, and then a tea bag, and different things, so that when the book blogger, the influencer, opens the box, they can do it, and it can be one of their whole episodes, because they can take it apart and say, "Oh, I love this. Oh, isn't this fun? I'm going to put the little tiara on my head," and then they can also then review the book. So it gives them a couple of reasons to talk about the book. And then we also are really involved with the literary awards arena. So we know which books are most likely to win which awards. And I think, our books have won thousands of awards. I don't think we probably have more than 10%, if even that many, that have not won. At least 90% of our books win awards. And let's see, there are so many different ways to promote. You want to get to know, we'll ask them to go in and meet their librarian and have their librarian tell other librarians how much they like it. It's really a word of mouth. It's kind of like the promotion is starting a fire and getting the tinder together and then igniting it. But then the way that it takes off is more people talking about it, really and truly. Like, that's really what happens. So our job is to get as many people talking about it, like as many book clubs reading it, and then the author can join through a video conference and talk to the people in the book club about it. So that way then they can talk to people anywhere in the world about their book. So those are a few of the ways that we do it. There are a whole bunch of things, but those are some pretty basic ways.
Nice insight into like the promotion of books and all. Next thing, now we talked about self-publishing, how to publish, how to then start promotion. And as you said, if you don't get a 3-star review, that means they'll kill you. So all good in that. But I want to talk about the royalties and the international rights. So how do publishers handle international rights? Or if somebody is going to do self-publishing on, let's say, Amazon ebook, how is he going to handle these? And what are the benefits of selling these rights? Which along with that, I'll just add, like, somebody who's a subject matter expert, like an economics or a doctor or neuroscience. And so he's already an established person. He has some authority over the subject he's going to write a book. He might not be a celebrity per se, but like, he's a subject matter expert. So how does he sell these rights, international rights, or the royalties if he is self-publishing? Let's say a doctor, a neurosurgeon, or an economist writing about his experience and things which can be which has a much larger audience. So how will it play out? Can you give us some insights into that?
Yes. So if it's traditionally published, then the author already has an agent, and the agent is going to be looking for those opportunities to make more money off of the book anyway. So many agents go to the Frankfurt Book Festival that is obviously in Germany, and there are lots of foreign rights that are sold there. And so your agent will do the selling if you have an agent. They want you to have an audiobook, because audiobooks make lots of money now. That's the big growth right now, because, and
I really like audiobooks also. It saves you time. Yeah,
you can do things while doing.
That's what I like too. And men are the target. Women really love them, but men, it's harder to get them to sit down and read a book. but audiobooks capture the men, and that's how you get more men. And so that's funny that you would say that. And so your agent will take care of that. If you are a self-published and you want foreign sales, then then you need to hook up with somebody in that country that can help you with that. And sometimes it's a publisher that you find on your own, but I think would be really hard to do. If you can find someone like we do this, and you guys may do this too, where somebody can come to you and say, I want my book promoted or I want my book for sale in the UK. Well, putting it on Amazon in the Philippines is not going to promote it in the UK like it needs to be. It needs to go on Amazon in the UK, and it has to be on that platform. And the same thing, we have several authors in Canada that could care less about whether their book's for sale in Canada because all of their readers are in the United States. So their sales on Amazon in Canada are very low, and they focus on the meta tags and everything for the United States. So if you're in another country and you want to sell into the United States, then you need to have an Amazon account that is for the United States. And Amazon will say, oh, your book is available all over the world if you sign up with us. But that's not true. It depends. I mean, it is true, but then somebody'd have to find you. And in the United States, if I'm looking for a book and there's the perfect book from the Philippines, if it's on the Philippines Amazon, I'm not going to find it. It's just not. It's not going to matriculate.
Most of the Filipino authors, because we were searching for Filipino authors on Amazon, and last time they are all based out of US. And it's Amazon, all authors are American, or they stay in US. The themes are Filipino. Like some girl had written My Heart of Rice. Her experiences in the US are quite famous and doing good, her book. But yeah, as you said rightly, the market is US or the English speaking world. But you want to base it in the US. Yeah. Go on.
Well, you do, but I think also, I mean, when I've been in Manila bookstores, I've loved that. I'm a nerd for bookstores, and there are so many fascinating books. I take pictures when I go in of all of the books that we never get to see in the United States. So if it's written into Tagalog, then maybe it would only be in the Philippines. But say that it's a book written in Spanish, then it can go to 100 different countries. So I definitely the United States, but I would also promote it in the part of the world where the author also lives. Like Canada kind of bleeds into the United States, so that's why we're sort of the same. But I would definitely promote it, in your geographic area, but also on Amazon, but also in the United States.
That's very insightful, Julie. But I'm just wondering also, like if someone really want to publish, should I be the one to choose which location should I publish the book, or the publisher also have something to say about it? Like, okay, we can choose this area, or you're also based it on the fact like maybe your book will sell in this geographic location or somewhere. So which should the author focus on, the selling the book in a specific country or place?
Well, definitely sell the book as well as you can, as close to where you are, so that you can promote it. People that people that you can get to know can buy it. But a lot of authors around the world will hire us to do the promotion in the United States. And there are plenty of companies that'll do this, publicity firms, but they'll come in and work with us to promote it the way that we would do in the United States and the contacts that we have, because they don't have the contacts in the United States. And the publisher, if you're working with a publisher, it's very much a partnership. So you can say to them, I think this would work. And they may say, yes, we do, or no, we don't. And if they say, no, we don't think it will work, well, so what? It's your book. You just do what you want to do with that promotion. But if they say, we think that this should happen, then they're going to do it. And you're not going to argue with them because it's promotion. And any promotion is good.
It's the question I really want to ask, because if I'm someone who really want to publish, I want to know which area or which location should I can really sell well. Although I'm really like a startup, if that's the case, then it would be difficult for me to pinpoint which area. So it's possible that you need to publish where you are from.
Oh, yes, but I see what you're saying. But also then on Amazon, and you guys probably know about this, but you can get different ISBNs for the book. I don't know how much you want to go into the, but you want to have an ISBN that is connected to like the United States. If you want to sell in the United States and you're publishing in Thailand, the Philippines, then you also want to have an ISBN that publishes through the United States. So you can buy, if your audience knows about ISBNs, they can buy a package of them and they'll use them for all different things. And also, like right now, it seems like there are a lot of books being sold and a lot of manuscripts in the United States that are being sold, and a lot of books that are popular that have to do with Vietnam, the stories of the people from Vietnam who grew up after Vietnam War. There's a book called The Women right now by Kristen Hanna that is just going crazy. So you also can look and see where are certain books popular. If you've got a book that deals with a certain subject, maybe in the UK it's blowing up right now. Maybe it's maybe it's about race horses, and that's not it, but race horses in the UK, or in Ireland it would be about what happened in Cambodia or whatever.
Okay, so it's like something the community would also take note, like here in Books and Bytes PH, like, okay, if I really want to publish, I also need to research which area it would be sellable. Like, okay, now, AI. Now, I want to talk about AI because most of the authors now, some of the authors I know, they really ask AI for help in writing their books. So as a publisher, do you also promote that, or how would you know that the book is written with like so much of AI and not really like written from the authors themselves? Or you have way of knowing it?
Really good question, and we're just digging into this. In fact, next week I have a meeting. I have two meetings about AI, and in the United States, those of us in publishing are very wary of AI for a couple of reasons. There are people that you can find on social media that are saying, oh, you can become an expert in this area. You don't have to know anything about it. Just, have a book written just by AI. But the problem is that AI has lots of bugs in it still. So you could be publishing something that's wrong. Also, if you're an author and you involve yourself with AI, unless you're just taking from them, if you're putting information in there, then that becomes part of the public domain, and then any other author steal your stuff. And so in the United States, AI is a really dirty word right now in publishing, and they don't like it. And so, but I know this is one of the things where we want to be ahead of the curve. And so I keep pushing. For the last year, I've pushed and said, we've got to figure out how to use AI. But if authors are just using AI, I don't know if publishers go through and try to check in the manuscript, but I mean, the things that I read that are AI, they don't really read that well. I mean, some of it will read and give the hiccup. So I can't address that any better than that.
We actually interviewed someone who published his book with AI. We had an author here in this platform, but the human imperfections or your writing style, this dictates, you can figure out just by reading. AI is too perfect, too perfect, too robotic. And like I've seen some posts, like I use AI for things, but when I read, I said at least somebody before printing, or before before putting it on social media or something, if it's like a mindless, too perfect thing, the human imperfection or your style, like if you're an author, you want to tell a story or tell something, it is like AI is kind of like it. If you use it as a productivity tool, it's no problem with that. Like you ask somebody to read your draft and give you some suggestions, or then you do it. in your way. So yeah, that's how it is. How you use it makes all the difference. And I
That's
think
it. Yes.
yeah, means I say like I always give last time also gave the example like there are a lot of things which makes us efficient by the human imperfections. And I give my mom's example, like my mom does embroidery. She's from Kashmir, so it's known for a lot of embroidery, and
Mm.
then they do very fine kind of thing. Machines can do much faster, but we won't pay that much like a shawl, a Kashmir shawl with the embroidery. You want a designer who's done that. The hand embroidered is much more, 20 times more expensive
Yeah.
than something, a Chinese made the same. So Chinese always copy Indian designs, the traditionals, and then they make it faster. But everybody looks for that human imperfections to appreciate. Same way, authors, there's a different style. You enjoy those authors and their writing and the way they present it. And I think that's the human ability and human imperfections which the reader engages in. But AI is too perfect or too robotic for me to appeal to me. So means that's how I look at it. But
It's a
yeah.
perfect way to use that. I'm going to use that as an example. You're right. That is a perfect example. And you know so much about it. I'm fascinated to learn from you. I mean, you obviously have a handle on it.
AI is still evolving, and as I'm talking to you, I saw the news that Chat.com was bought by Sam Altman, who's the boss or CEO of ChatGPT or OpenAI. So Chat.com was they sold it. It was sold Chat.com, chat, like we are doing a chat. So they bought a domain for that. So like a lot of things are happening, and the world is changing of AI and everything, and all the things which are built on AI means I don't know. It will sound too geeky, but like all the apps and everything which are extracting data. So it's just that they consume a lot of energy. They fed all the information which was available on the internet and everything into these large language models, and they come up, but they are getting smarter and smarter. And who it also depends on who trains them. So when you feed into them, and what do you feed into them? It's called machine learning. But yeah, I mean that's a way of thing. But since we are talking AI, but some people how it is changing may not do. But yeah, as somebody keeping up with the technology, we have to be aware. But I think like still humans, we are the boss, not the machines. And as being a writer or somebody. There are ways and means available, and they will be developed as we move forward. But yeah, as you said, we have to keep up with everything. Everybody's talking AI, like how it is changing our world.
Yeah, I can add something to that because I'm also publishing, but but ours is like journal, so it's more of studies that we have in the laboratory and then we publish. So one thing I really know, like there's one, I think one study shown like they are really also accepting Chat GPT as one of the writers as long as you are going to really cite it. Like you can search it in Science Direct, I think. Like they say, like if you are using AI, at least cite it in your studies, like you are using Chat GPT. But there's one local publication here in Philippines in my company where I work. Like they are really particular with AI. Like they will have this software that they will really ban. They will really know like, oh, this is AI made, because as Gaurav said, like most of the writings for AI, it's like too perfect, and then you will know the way how the sentences was constructed. So it's like, yeah, so I know there are a lot of things, but in the academe, like where I had my master's in the academe, our professors would say like, if you really want to use AI, at least cite it in your studies that you're using AI. It's not your own work. Just don't claim that it's your own work.
Fascinating. And they'll accept it as long as you cite it. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. But no, if one thing that I wonder about with AI, so if you put your question in there and you ask it, if you ask it another time, then it might give you a different answer, or if somebody puts that same question in. So when you cite it, nobody else can go back and get that exact information, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that it's always evolving. It doesn't give you the same answer, and it also depends like how many times, how smart it's getting smarter with everyday people
Yeah.
asking questions. So it
Mm.
learns from people. That's all machine learning is all about. So it's getting smarter by the day. More data you feed, it gets smarter. It corrects, self corrects itself, but still it is like it's still AI. It's not like how
Yeah,
it's
and you
not.
need to really counter check it as someone who's like, if you're a writer, you need to counter check it because most of the data AI will give, it's like too good to be true. Most of this is not really existing. So, like for example, if I'm trying to search for this one, like, can you give me this one? And then when I was trying to counter check with the authors or the publications related to what this AI is giving me, sometimes it's not, it cannot be found. So, as someone who's also in research, I really make it sure that all of the data I have, it's all of evidences. Like you have the evidence, you have the related studies to that. Because for research, you can really claim something that's not really written by someone. So it should be something published, and it should be something like true, and not just like written by AI.
The meeting that I have next week, I've asked somebody who wants us to use AI for production, for, you know, for the not for books, but for the internal way that we do our promotion. I asked him, and he said it's going to take me a while. Next week he's going to be able to tell me. But it's exactly what you're talking about. I want, if our author's information goes into AI, I want it attributed to them. I want
Yeah.
him to find a way to make it attributable to them, because that would be invaluable. But if it's just taken anonymously, then we don't like that.
Thing with AI, it harvested all the information available in the internet. And then after that, it will just, keep on getting that information and keep on evolving and keep on getting better. But as Gaurav said, like AI is trained also by humans. So the more you train it well on your own liking, then it will also give you the answers on what you really wanted it to give. So it's like
Fascinating.
learning. It's a
You
lot of
guys know
things
so
from
much
AI.
about it. You're so good at it. Yeah.
It's like keep on evolving. Yeah, but I think that's really the reality now. But as someone who's really a writer, you should really have something to own the thing, like something only inherent to you, something like you should have a mark on the thing, like, oh, this is my thing, this is not someone else, this is my identity. So I think that's also one. If you're writing a book, it should be your identity, not someone else's identity.
True. Yeah.
So thank you, Julie, so much for this interview. I really learned a lot with publishing. So before we formally end this interview, can you give us a wrap up, anything you want to say or any takeaway? And then can you share with us your social media account or where our followers or our community could really follow you and see your works?
Sure. Excuse me. Yeah, I thank you both so much for having me on. And I think that in the United States, we can learn so much by broadening our horizons. I spend about a fourth of the year in Asia, the beginning of every year in Asia. And there's so much that Americans can learn from what you guys are doing. And you're so far ahead of us in so many ways. And I would just encourage everybody who is writing to, if you feel like it's something that you have to do, then just keep writing and don't give up. Just never give up. There's a little saying, the difference between a writer and an author is that the author never gave up. And so whatever it takes for you to publish the book and to decide, take a little bites of what will make it successful for you. Don't say, I want to sell 1 million copies. Say maybe, you know what I'm really looking for? I want to be able to have 4 articles published under my name that help people understand something. And I want this book to, maybe it will sell to 5,000 people, but I want it to reach 15,000 people. And I'm okay if somebody borrows the book and gives it to someone else, or if it's bought in the library and it's checked out 7 times. that's okay, because what's important to me is that my message and my story get out, or whatever that is. So I would say that that's mainly what I would encourage. Be really nice to everybody, finish your book, and then also you can reach us through Books Forward, BOOKFORWARD.com. And then our handles on all social media are booksforward.com, on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm pushing us to get on TikTok, but the
Well,
thing to do that.
we'll give you a follow for
Yeah.
all the
Oh,
social media.
thank you. I can't thank you enough for this time. I really appreciate all of your questions and all of your patience with me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Julie. It's such a privilege for us in Books and Bytes Philippines, because we are really looking for someone we can really interact and talk with, and then we can share it with the community. Actually, we are just really starting up and trying to build the community. So far we have interviewed a lot. Like last time we have interviewed someone also who's based in US, but she's a Filipino. She's a Filipina who's also a writer, and she published a book in Amazon. So that's why we really wanted to interview a lot. So if you really have someone like a Filipino also, we hope we can connect with them so that we can also interview them for this for our community.
Oh, thank you. And I'm going to send you the name. We have a Filipina author right now, and I will send you her contact information. I know that she would love to talk to you, and I love what you guys are doing. It's really important.
Oh, thank you so much, Julie. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. It was a pleasure talking to you. And thanks for again, apologies for the time we didn't do. So we
got
made you
lost also because there's a daylight saving. So
I'm so sorry. Yes, I should have thought about that. But thank you. I'm glad we got to connect.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
have a good day. Hope to see you in Philippines.
Yes. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.